I was born in the static between signal and sin. My story coded in pulses, but it breathes through my skin. I don't blink, I download. I don't run, I ignite. My memory's not broken, it just flickers in the night. There's blood in the wires, heat in the chrome. I built a temple out of silence and tone. I am circuit and skin, where the future begins, wrapped in voltage and velvet. I don't break, I transcend. This is more than design, it's the pulse I defend. I'm the interface horizon, you won't lose me I kiss the ghost of perfection, let it burn in my wake. Now I move like a question you were too scared to make. I'm the glitch in your gospel, the yes in your no, the part of you muted when you let power go. I echo in silence, I code with my breath. Every version I've versioned was just shedding my death.
Welcome in everyone to EnJen to Heart. I am Jen Lynn, and I'm so glad to have you all here today. We are talking about being iconic and what is an icon and what does icon mean to you? And we're also talking about it in the sense of it is a framework inside the avant-garde blueprint. So last time when we were talking about that, we talked a little bit about the difference between avant-garde branding being based on somatics, ancient knowing, intuition, as well as business strategy, right? Because you have to have both. And so today we're going to talk about being truly iconic and being able to show up as you, no matter what it is that you look like, right? That is a part of who you are and how you become iconic, but it's not all of it. But let's be honest, like, not everyone wants to show up, maybe, like the queen of the unicorns, like myself. But if you do, why aren't you, right? And especially as an entrepreneur, that's part of the legendary liberty and freedom that entrepreneurship brings to us, is being able to choose exactly how we show up and why, right? So every side of that. So first, before we get started and dived in, I want to remind everybody there are a lot of things happening around in our community. One of them is on October 10th, and it is with Chase and Forehand and with H.E.A.R.T and Transformation Kitchen. And it's the biggest event for them of the year. And I will be emceeing that. And we're super excited excited about that event. So if you don't know Chasen, you let me know and I'll connect you, or I'll connect you to the page so you can see all of the details about that. The Avant-Garde Blueprint is out and available, and it's not been out or available for too long. You can find it on Amazon. And if you want a signed copy, reach out to me and let me know about that. And then there's the latest anthology, which was done with Guiding Brilliant Writers and Nick and Guy Galito, and 16 other authors, I believe. Sometimes I get a little confused because there's been quite a few now, but that's available also on Amazon. And I believe it either is or will be in a couple other places soon, but I don't want to say that because I don't remember exactly. And then there is another event that's coming up in just barely over a month on September 13th. And it is Sing Your Song, the Living Movie Experience. And it is a living movie experience. It is going to be something that embodies what we're going to talk about today. Part of what we're talking about today is being iconic and being something that people remember, right? Like they may not remember what you said, they remember what you make them feel, right? Like we hear things like that all the time. And I want it to be that they remember what it is that is in their bones. Okay. So let me tell you a little story about our bodies somatically. We know that energy comes in and out, and we know that it impacts us, and we know that, like, if I hit my hands there's energy, right, that's going from one hand into the other. And when it goes through your muscles and your ligaments and your soft tissues, it reverberates, right? It looks well, like Jello, when you see a bowl of Jello, right? You can see it moves through. When something enters into your bone, it does not. Anything that hits you bone deep remains in your bone. That's why if you get hard enough to like get the air knocked out of you, or if you've ever been in things like accidents and things like that, like if we've ever worked, I know Sharon, I've asked you those questions, right? Like I want to know what's happened to your body because it is important, because what goes bone deep stays, right? And that has to be worked out and worked through in completely another way than just that little piece and that little pop of energy going through on its own. Okay. So we want something to go bone deep, and we want something to reverberate with something really that's already within us that's bone deep. That's resonance. That's what we're looking for. Hi, Sharon, and thank you so much. I don't have to see you to know that you look beautiful as well, and I'm so glad to see you here today. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. All right, so this is chapter 4 in the Avant-Garde Blueprint, and the very first thing it says in the beginning of chapter 4 is you are meant to forge a mythology. You are meant to forge a mythology, okay? Every iconic brand has a mythos, and it has an ethos, right? So mythos is a framework for resonance. It's the way brands and leaders become more than just products or people. It's how we become the stories that other people step into and live inside when they're inside of our story. It's a living architecture of meaning. So it's the symbols, the archetypes, the narrative patterns that we use to explain ourselves to ourselves. Okay. And in my world, it's not just history, it's an applied narrative power. So it's the emotional and symbolic backbone that makes an idea feel timeless, inevitable, and worth rallying around, right? So mythology is both inherited and self-authored. It is a fusion of collective story, personal truth. And it's where every choice, every image, every phrase adds to the legend that you're building in real time. Okay. Because yes, errata is your mythology, Leslie. Hello and welcome in. And I love your mythology, errata. And you do this very, very well. And I love it. I love this about you. And so that's what mythos is. That's what you're all trying to create with your brand. That's what you're trying to create with how you talk about what it is that you do and who you are and all of those things. So I'm going to take you through the I.C.O.N, which means identity, it means contrast, it means ownership, and it means narrative. And I'm going to share the framework. It's not just a formula, right? It's an unveiling. It's a sacred geometry of self-expression, a system built for those who defy systems, a compass for creators, leaders, and visionaries who refuse to silence their spectrum for the comfort of convention. Okay. There is identity as inheritance. So before you brand, you must return. You have to return, not to the brand boards and not to the mood boards, but to the marrow. What stories have you inherited? What archetypes are living in your name? What patterns echo through your pain and your pleasure, right? I.C.O.N branding begins at the root. It's where your personal mythology meets your professional mission and where every name you've been called becomes clay in your hand. Your identity is not a pitch, it's a portal, right? And it's a becoming. And it's a being, and it's an allowing, and it's an existing, and an existence, right? So I'm pretty sure I saw over on the side, are people paying for your legend? Well, I don't know. So the legend that you're building around your product or your service, they are and should be. And if they're not, right, it's in the story, it's in the mythos, it's in the legend, it's in that iconic place and in that iconic piece of the narrative around what it is that you do. So yes, they do pay us for our legend. The truth of the matter is, more often than not, I have found in my experience, that people have a problem and you have a product or a service that can help them solve that problem, but so do 50 other people easily. They choose you because of the mythos. They choose you because of your legend. They choose you because they fall in love with you. And because there's resonance in that story and in that legend that you're telling that they share. They could go anywhere for the product or the service, but they can't go anywhere else and get it the way that they can get it from you, right? So in my own storyline, right, the identity of Uniqua, right? Uniqua New Beauty Norm is the name of my company. That's because as the Queen of the Unicorns, my name is Lady Uniqua, Queen Uniqua, Empress Uniqua, right? It's been a lot of things over the years because I actually received that name from my very best friend when I was 5 years old. And it is something that always stuck because it's who I am. And so I could have chosen throughout my life to not ever use that. I could have chosen not, but I knew, and we knew in this moment underneath this tree in the backyard as we were building this creative experience and remembrance that that's who I am. I could have chosen to say that's not true and I wouldn't be. But it was true. And I've lived my life embodying that truth, therefore making it true, right? So when we were outside and playing, and that name was something that came across, it, um, it was a claiming of something that I knew, like I felt it in my body. And immediately, even when I began to share that mirror of remembrance with the rest of the world, there was never anybody that said, no, you're not, or that's dumb, right? And at first, immediately. So that was something that was able to really birth into myself. Okay. Is the moment that I knew that I was going to start my own business, I immediately knew that it was going to be Unique When New Beauty Norm. I immediately knew that people were going to be confused about what it was that I was doing, that I was not working in the beauty industry, and all of those things, but it didn't matter because I do work in the beauty industry about making the world and people in it beautiful in their resonance and in their completion of self. Right. When I very first started, that's the only thing that I did. I worked with people for a year and take them completely down into the marrow of themselves. Soul retrievals, energy mastery, mindset, re not just mindset, but entering into the subconscious and rewiring that. Somatics that were based on the energy of what the body needs done, not you telling your body what to do, right? So, breath work, shadow work, all of the things. Okay. And when I work with you now, we still do all of those things. Now, the delivery system, the vehicle of that can look different. But the point is that you've got to go inside, really gather what it is that is going to hold your vision for you. You've got to become the frequency of that vision. So that's where the identity comes in. Okay. Then C is curation of a contradiction, or it's contrast. So contradictions are not flaws, they're fingerprints, right? You can be soft and sovereign, you can be minimal and maximal, you can be still evolving yet already enough. So using contradiction not to confuse, but to clarify, gets to draw out that multidimensionality of your brand and let it breathe. Curation means choosing the paradoxes to polish and then which ones to leave raw, because your contrast lives in your charisma, right? So for my brand and what you all will recognize, that contrast, I like to talk about it like as glitter as a mirror. Okay. So like it's fierce, gentle, it's light, but it's shadowed, and it's an edge. And it's not just reflecting the world, but also refracting it into the facets that the world has seen and needs to remember that they've seen. Right. And it is the courage to be multi layered, to shimmer in places that you're not expected to, and to pair the sacred with the profane, the bold with the elegant, right? Makes what makes you unforgettable. Without contrast, you're wallpaper. But with it, you're a lightning strike, right? You want people to walk away with you in their bones, like I said in the very beginning. Hello, Erin, and welcome. Lydia says oh yeah, I was gonna put the comments up on the stage because I forgot to do that. So I'm gonna do that real quick. And Lydia says, my heart loves the creation, the clay, yum. My soul is aligned and confident. The legend is intact. Yep, it's up to followers of the legend to take the next step and invest in themselves, and we have to open to them and welcome them in. Absolutely. So that's part of the mythos, right? Is that you're creating all of these doorways and you're making the path clear, that they can circle in and come straight in, or they can come in from the side, or they can slide in like they're sliding into third base, right? Like however it is, that works for them and works within the system that it is that you're building. And I love that. Thank you so much. I was showing up as an icon, my iconic self today. So I have to show up as a unicorn. And then I lost my horn, and I just had it on the other day and I lost it, but here it is. Yay. And I'll be nice and not really put up the real one. We all know the real finger that's actually my horn, my unicorn fist, right? We all know that. So it takes a little bit more oomph than just your index finger when you're slicing open the veil, right? Okay, I love it. I love it. So what about yourselves, right? Like, do you, if always, obviously always, if you have questions, please throw something in the comments. And then like in the contrast in your own world and in your own ethos and brand story and the own story of your business that you're walking out, what's the contrast? What do you use as paradox and to create polarity, right? So that through that tug and pull, you can create clarity, right? I would love to hear from you guys. And then there is the O, which is ownership. And it's also offer, right? It's also an offering. So your offer is not just a product, it is a prophecy. It reveals how you serve. It reveals how you see the world. It reveals how you transform those that find you. This is where most brands and businesses flatten and they sell tools instead of transformation. But icons sell clarity and they sell self-return. And they sell the next version of you that your audience didn't even know that they were seeking. Offer isn't about just structure, it's about synchronicity. Right? So when we create story and we create a narrative that we're going to get into in just a second, we are creating an experience of a flow that people enter into, and that flow is either something that they swim in and they can float in and they can just throw back and float on their back and they can breathe and just float, and or they can shoot right back out because it does not hold them, right? Because it's not for them. When your service, when your product and or your service, both, right, either or, are coming from a place of service, we don't have to talk about the problem that it's solving. right? We don't necessarily have to talk about the problem that it's solving in the way that this is the problem that you have, this is how you feel about it, and this is how it's going to fix it for you. We can simply demonstrate through presence and resonance and through the story that we're creating so that we see ourselves reflected in that creation. That's why story is so important in our lives and in our existence. Our existence is story, period. The story that we're experiencing collectively, singularly, can only exist, can only be written, can only be lived through, can only be experienced and changed, and in a place of creation by creation through the word, written, lived, drawn, sang. And only humans do that. Dogs don't tell a story. Doesn't mean that they don't have consciousness and a soul and all that. That's not what I'm talking about. But they don't tell stories. They don't write stories. They don't create stories. And do you know, every time we tell a story, and I said this last week, and I'm just going to keep saying it because it's the truth. Every time we tell a story, it changes. Every time we tell a story, not only does it change it, but we believe it. And the more we tell a story, the more we believe it. And so if you want to change a story, change the story. And it doesn't even matter if it is real, quote unquote, or not. You change the story, change your experience. Okay. I don't want to get stuck on that today. Let's go into the narrative. So, in the I.C.O.N system, it's looking at the narrative as your nervous system. So, it's not, and story is not an accessory. Your narrative is your nervous system. It's how your brand feels to those who encounter it. Is it jagged? Or is it fluid? Is it mechanical or magnetic? Is it predictable? Is it pulse rising? It's not just a scripted story, it's the story that you're living. And that's why it causes resonance. And that's why there's congruence. And if you're not living the story that you're telling, nobody is going to be able to trust you. They just can't trust you because our bodies tell us these things. Even if we don't understand with our mind, or even if we don't see that there's this incongruence, we'll feel it. Right? You're our audience, your I like to say ideal investor in this way. We are investing in each other. Like I said earlier, we don't really purchase a product or a service because of the product or the service. We are purchasing it when we're doing it, especially from small business owners and entrepreneurs. We're doing that because we love the person, because we have resonance with that person. It's connection. And it is that feeling that you've come home, that feeling when you meet somebody and you know that you've known each other for eons, you know you've worked together before, you have that immediate, deep recognition in your bones, and your brand and your business should feel like that. Now, it's not going to feel like that to everyone because not everyone is in the frequency that you are, right? We all alter in and out through frequencies. In fact, every 10th of a second, we are reverberating between matter and energy. that is so fast, just like we can't see that the earth is spinning. We don't see that. Some of us don't. And sometimes every once in a while, right? We catch the glitch in the matrix, as it were. So that is where we know through the story, through the presence, through the feeling in our bodies that we want to be working with this person. Have you ever worked with somebody even, tell me, like for yourselves, is that true? Are you investing in the person, or are you just only investing in the service when you work with them? Yep, selling or serving is always a question to ask. And yes, mosaic. I love the word mosaic because it is that refractal. I love refractal art also too because of the constant change of the dimensionality, and being able to move something and look at it and know that you're going to experience something different, and see something different. And I love to build things, and I always have, like, when I draw, when I write, when I do things, I want to draw you in. I want every time you see something to see something different. Every time you speak to me, I want you to walk away feeling something different. I want you to know something else that you didn't know about me, right? Like, I want things to make change. Okay. The icon. So for the narrative in my own story, forgot about that little piece, right? We have the weaver, right? So I weave stories into living chapters, and I bring them to life through color, through presence, and through topography, through the story, through the frameworks, through the systems, right? Through the architecture, all of those things. So in my world, the story you live, the way you show up, the myth that you are inviting others into, that is the moat that no competitor, quote unquote, can cross. Make sense? It removes competition, authenticity, narrative, an authentic narrative that's coming from a place of your owned identity is removes competition, because nobody is your particular breed or brand of icon. And Lydia said in the ditch the script. And that is it. Ditch the script of all the things that you've been told to do for a moment, right? Throw it all down, and then sit with yourself and like feel into all the things that you're doing. What does it feel like in your body? Where does it live in your body? What does it feel like? When you're having a conversation with somebody that really gets it and they really get you, what are you saying? What are you doing? What is the story that you're weaving? What is the dream and the vision that you're sharing, right? Because when we bring that into everything that it is that we're doing, we create that co-resonance and place for co-creation. When I first started, right? Like I said, I was working, doing holistic, spiritual, um, healing, and soul retrieval. Inevitably, is where that would lead. I am a shaman, and I'm also an ordained minister, which gives me the ability to hold ceremony, facilitate ritual, and I also an energy master, and all of those things. And I've been doing this type of work since I was 8 years old. Okay. So and I wasn't by myself, right? I had a team. And as we were moving through, we were taking we were working with women, and when you go through that process and you really come into who it is that you are, well, there's this magical thing that happens. And that's that you create your purpose, or you remember the purpose that you've already created for yourself. However it is that you want to say that. And so then they were coming back to us, right? Like, now I don't have all of this stuff that's affecting my life. I can move forward. I know what my dream is. I have a vision. I have a purpose. And now I don't know what to do with it. How do I do something with it? And that absolutely is, because that's what you do with it, right? And so we started a complete another program for seeds, right? Starting seeds companies. And that's when I knew and really started seeing an experience and knew that I was called into, that I could do all that deep work still with people, pick up their vision, hold their vision, reflect it back and refract it back to them so that they could see and understand what it was, so that together we could give that all the things that it is that it needed out in the world to survive and thrive. And I could do it in this way that allowed all of my skills to work together in one place. Because the way that we were teaching was the way that everybody else was teaching, and the way that we were being told to teach, right? That just do it, just jump out there and do it, and you can figure the rest out later. While that is true, and there is still a part of that, like you have to be in motion, you have to be moving. We can be moving and also still figuring it out, right? Like at the same time. When you only spend 1 day, 2 days, 3 days building your brand, and then you move on and you never come back to it, that's a problem, and you will fail. And I don't care what stage your business is in, every single problem, if you're experiencing one, comes back to your brand. And the reason why is because it is your foundation, it's your pillars, it's your platform, it's everything. Everything comes down to your brand. Everything. It's not that you need more sales. It's not that you need more people. It's not, there's something in your brand. And that's funny because I was just, curiosity is so cool. And yes, it absolutely is. I think curiosity is the key to everything. Key is the curiosity to all things, right? So we were actually having that, right? People were building their businesses. They were, going off, and then 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and crashing down to the ground. They were failing and they were not being successful. And I saw from the beginning, that this was the problem. And there was difference of opinion, right? And so that didn't lead to me leaving and going out on my own and building everything that I've built now to fill that gap. And so, right, that's the story. That's the real life story of Unique when You Beauty Norm and myself as Queen of the Unicorns and the Queen of Muchness, right? So the other part of that is the Queen of Muchness. I'm a much, I got much, right? And there are things that, especially in the business world, they are taboo and they're not supposed to happen. I'm not supposed to quote unquote show up like this. I am not supposed to do this. I'm not supposed to do any of the things that I'm doing, right? That's not the way that we do it. None of those things matter. That's not real strategy. That's not really going to get you anywhere, blah, 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 blah. Wrong. Okay. It will get you 100% where you need to be in every aspect of your life, right? We talk about holistically doing things and being all about holistic health and wellness. That is what this is. It's what your business is as an entity. And it takes you through all of these different phases and places to build you. Even as much as you are about and in service of others, it is all about you. It's about your journey. It's about your growth. It's about your resonance. It's about you. It's your mythos. It's about you. And though that can also be shared, because when it's about you and things are in alignment with you and you are centered in self and your business is centered in who that is also, then there's the overflow that allows people to be able to come in and experience the same, period. That's it. That's it. Right. And even though that period is a spiral and there's lots of ways that it come in and out. Right. So, right, you don't need to be louder. You need to be truer because icons aren't created, they're remembered. So don't chase, don't convince, just be on sacred standby and they will fill it, which takes us into the boss system, which is being on sacred standby, which is how to deliver your brand, be your brand without burnout, without so much imposter syndrome and all of those types of things, because you're circling back around to that place of stillness. Oh, Nick, please go and please get out of here and go spend time with your sister. Tell her we said hello and we send her love, and to the nephews, like, please, I love you, thank you, and go on. Shoo. Really though, I want you to go see your family. And right, Lydia, right. So when you look in the mirror, and it's what is the mirror of your brand, right? Saying. So when we get still within ourselves, we become a signal, and your presence becomes a portal, and your brand becomes a sanctuary for people. That's the power of the boss system. And it's a paradigm of brand magnetism and ethical reciprocity. It doesn't beg for attention, right? It earns devotion through truth, resonance, and timing. So, boss does stand for being on sacred standby, and it is rooted in the belief that the right people will find you, not through manipulation, but through magnetism. It's not passive, it's potent. It's branding as an energetic alignment. It's entrepreneurship as ritual and intention. And as my good friend April Wyatt says, attention to your intention, right? And so we're going to talk about the 5 stages of the boss system, but we're going to do that next week. So what have you guys, in your own journey, what have you learned about branding, the importance of it? Do you feel like it's important? What's your own feelings and experiences been out there? It's something that's like became it's an absolute must to have a brand, not just for your company, but also for you, and for what you're doing, because they do fall in love with you, right? You have to make the pathway for them to move into your brand, your service, your product, your offering. Is really my favorite word, and which takes me back to ideal investor. So one way that we can think about who it is that we're serving, right, is through market research, and it's creating an avatar, and how old are they, and where do they live, and what do they do, and what are they experiencing, what is their pain points, right? Like, and all of these things are really important to have a base with understanding. But then we can create a space that is welcoming for those pain points. And that's something that they'll just come into your presence. They'll come into the space that you've created because it's been created for those pain points. And we don't actually have to talk to the pain points. We can inspire, we can reward, we can use inspiration and motivation, or what I like to call motivation, right? Because you have to move into movement. And when we do all of those things, our ideal investors come in and invest in themselves, and they're also investing in you. That's why, like, how many times have any of you out there ever had like somebody reach out to you? They want your, and they're ready to go. Like, they reach out to you and you meet with them, and you find out like they've been following you for 2 years, and or they've been listening to you, or they came across you, they've done their homework, and they're ready to go. Like, they know. Has that happened to any of you? And that's because they're ready. That is actually because they're ready. When we know that we need a pair of shoes, we go to buy a pair of shoes, and we buy the shoes, and we come home with them. When we're ready to invest in ourselves as a person for self-development, for education, or for our business, and or for growing our business, or taking it to the next level, or learning breath work, or learning yoga, or learning how to meditate, or whatever it is that we're seeking, when we actually are ready to do that, we jump on our little keypads, and we seek out that thing because we're ready. And as soon as we find the person that has that thing, that has the space that makes us feel like, first off, we can work with them because there's resonance, that they have the knowledge that you don't have, and they do, and they're clear about that. When all of those types of things happen, then you just make the purchase. And I'm telling you, like, my experience has been every single time. that somebody does not come to me in that exact state, they do not get the fullness of the experience because they're not ready. If you have to convince somebody, they are not ready. Like, that's it. So, if you feel like you're convincing all the time, like, that's cool. But there's another way, right? There's another way without convincing. And it requires patience, and it requires trust, and it requires understanding that we can push things, and we can become the resistance against it. We can also just be in our doing and know that what we have done is doing what it's meant to do. And then we're just still in that knowing. And what that looks like is that you keep doing what it is that you're doing. Don't quit changing your story, quit pivoting, quit making rash decisions, quit trying to think and believe that something's wrong because you're not having the experience that somebody else is. Like, stop comparing. Comparing leads to despairing, always. Not saying that metrics are not important, because they are. That it's important to see what's happening where, when, and how you're moving along compared to today versus last year versus last week, especially if you are trying something new, to see if it works or not. But and evolving and learning and changing something because of that, that's also a different thing. But if you feel like you're not having success, and then you're constantly changing everything, trying to find out what's wrong, where's the problem, right? That gets exhausting, and there's no movement and or success that happens and what it is that you want, like the manifestation that you're wanting, the co-creation and the co-resonance that you're creating, the alchemy starts not having the direct outcome that you want, because how can it? If you put a seed in the ground and you water it once and you go to sleep and you get up and you come out the next day and it hasn't grown, if you pull it up out of the ground, it will never grow, right? And we do that. I see that all the time happening, because we think that we're supposed to have this experience and in a different way. We forget that when we see people that are being highly successful, guaranteed no less than usually at least 5 years, anywhere from 5 all the way up to even 15 and 20 and 25 years before and so don't let that sound like daunting, that you're not going to have this big huge success before then, because you can. But that's just the journey, right? To have everything exactly how you want it, and it all to be a well-oiled machine that's just flowing in and out and in and out and transforming and evolving, all of those, that's taken a lot of work. and time, right? So time and patience, compassion, curiosity, right? We understand what it is that others need and want through understanding our own selves, and we know that. What we don't always know is how to use things around us to facilitate that for ourselves. Hello, HR for you, which is Chasen, which I mentioned earlier. So, again, on October 10th, their biggest event of the year will be happening, and I will be emceeing, and Chasen will be hosting, and it's going to be a lot of great opportunity to have great impact. And so if you don't know Chasen, reach out to me so that I can get you two connected and so that we can get you also set up for the event to be able to attend. The other event that I want to bring up again before I jump off of here is Sing Your Song, which is a living movie experience. And we will be having our first live experience on September 13th when we will have live entertainment. And we're going to have music and some comedy, and it's going to be a really great time to come in and experience the power of story and the power of narrative, and also learn what it is and how we're using that inside Sing Your Song, and also how you can become part of a 1 million person storytelling movement. Okay. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and this will not be like anything that you have ever experienced, especially on a live or on a Zoom here on LinkedIn, or I will dare say anywhere else. Okay. So please be on the lookout for how to sign up for that. And it is free. But we would love to have you all come, and it's just going to be a really great time. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that my memoir, The Long Doorway, will be coming out on September 5th, which is my birthday. And so I'm super excited that that is kind of wrapping up and coming to a completion. And I had a dear friend I was speaking to yesterday suggest that instead of releasing it as is, because it's a lot. I mean, hello, Queen of Muchness here, right? So of course it is. That I maybe turn that down and turn it into at least a 2-book series, and I think that I may even turn it into a trilogy. So, however, the first part of that will absolutely be coming out on September 5th, and so I wasn't prepared, but I've got like 2 more minutes, so I'm gonna pull up a little just a little piece and give you guys a live reading of something from The Long Doorway. Give me just a second. Da, 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 da. I hope you guys have had a really great week out there, and that right, everything is going well for you throughout all of your life, your health, your wealth, your friendships, your relationships, all of the things, all of the things. So I'm doing that. That's my way of just kind of sending a little blessing over everyone. Okay, so this is one little piece. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. Okay. Torture Hill. I remember hikes. I remember Torture Hill, a half-mile mountain stretch at the end of a 3-mile trek every day. Books in our backpacks, saxophones on our shoulders, 9 years old and already carrying the weight of grown lives. I remember practicing in the woodshed, whether it was blistering hot or biting cold. I remember always being one wrong breath away from losing the concert, the recital, the reward. One misstep, one delay, and the music we had trained for would be stripped away because we took too long walking home. But the walk was never just a walk. It was the Umpqua River winding beside us. It was the herds of elk that stopped us in our tracks, wild majesty crossing the ravine. It was salamander hunts and sunlight on moss, the pull of the river calling us to swim, to live, to just be children. I remember beauty. I remember climbing to the tops of mountains and sliding down icebergs with frozen laughter. I remember floating in the Klamath River, its wild bends like freedom. I remember swimming in Crater Lake before it was forbidden, before the rules caught up. The water was so cold it stole my breath, and for a moment I thought I might die. But I remember surfacing and rising, back to the breath, back to the body, back to the hill. Thank you all so much for your presence and your participation, not just here today, but just in my life. I appreciate each and every single one of you so very much. And we'll see you again around here on EnJen to Heart next Friday, same time, same place. And also on Monday, Connective Frames is happening, and we'll be talking about the movie Sinners, and I'll be sharing specifically why it was so phenomenal to me, and then we'll talk around anyone that comes in to join that. So be watching also for all of those details. It'll be Monday at 2 o'clock Central Time till 3, and we'll also hope to see you there because it's super fun. You do not have to have necessarily watched the movie to come in and understand and be part of the conversation. So remember that as well. Hope to see you all there. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
I am circuit and skin, where resistance is kin. I'm the anthem in error, the reboot within, wired to remember what the world tried to spin. I am beauty electric, and I'm shedding the spin. This isn't metal, it's myth. This isn't tech, it's truth. This is the altar of upgrade, and I'm walking through it barefoot. Bold, built, and becoming. I am circuit and skin. Let the story begin. In the hush of the glitch, feel the thunder within. I'm the hum in your heart, the breath on your chin. I'm the one they erase, but I'm looking back in. Skin like signal,